Here's how to get out of the anxious avoidant trap if you're the avoidant. I'm Jess, I have ADHD and I'm also recovering fearful avoidance, and I want to talk today about breaking the cycle of this dynamic between anxious and avoidant partners and how to have better communication and stop this dynamic unfolding the same way each and every time. Okay, so you find yourself in a dynamic where whenever there's periods of high emotion, you feel the need to bolt. You need time on your own to soothe your own anxieties, and you just feel uncomfortable. You have this innate and compelling urge to just run away. The more that you try and just pull away a little bit, your anxious partner steps up and just comes towards you and towards you. It makes you need even more space, and it's just like till that's it. And it usually ends up in like an abrupt breakup or this big fight, or you know the drill. Or you're feeling smothered, you're feeling icky, this person is suffocating you. That's what you feel like, and all you need to do is get away from this person in that moment. Anxious attached person, they are living a lot of the times in their emotions, and emotions are actually quite a beautiful thing. So yes, they can be scary, and a lot of their emotions are coming from insecurities, from wounding from childhood. In the same way, the feeling that you have to flee and escape this feeling is from your insecurities, from your childhood. But when you think about it like that, you're actually much more similar than you think you are. So the anxious and the avoidant can actually learn from each other in this way. Obviously, it needs to be somewhere in the middle, so we don't want to be avoiding all of our emotions. We don't want to be acting out from all of our emotions all the time. It needs to be good balance. Often as an avoidant, we struggle with emotions because we feel responsible. We feel like that person is trying to blame us for them having them emotions, and that actually interrupts the capacity at which we can hold people's emotions for them. The job is not to regulate their emotions for them, it's just to be there as a support and hold and listen to the emotions. You don't have to do anything about it, you can just be there and listen. So now that you understand that, having open dialogue with your partner about this, so validating them for having emotions, because remember, it is actually a strength. And something like, look, I do really admire that you can be open and vulnerable and express your emotions, but I don't want to feel responsible for them. I'm here to hold your emotions with you, for you. I can hold that space, but you need to be the individual. You need to be the person in this dynamic to regulate your own emotions, the same as I'm going to regulate my own emotions. That's going to do two things. It's going to validate your partner, that you don't think that they are disgusting, needy and gross for expressing how they feel to you. And two, it's going to give them more space to not come from a defensive place and look at themselves and think, actually, yeah, it isn't your job to regulate my emotions for me. I'm going to do that for myself. Second thing you need to do is be open about how much time you need away to process your feelings. You feel that uncomfortableness that you're sat in, you need time away. So for an anxious individual, if you just pull away and you don't say anything, they're going to be like thinking, what the hell's going on? Instead, you could just nip that in the bud, stop it spiraling out of control, because the more they get triggered, the more they're coming at you with what you want to escape from. So basically, just saying, look, I need a few days. I'm feeling really disconnected from myself. I need XYZ time. And then after that time, I'll come back and we'll have a chat. De-escalated the situation. You've got what you've wanted. They've got an explanation, so they've got what they wanted, instead of their brain just going around on like autopilot, creating all of these stories that are clearly not true. And you both get what you want from the dynamic. If after a set amount of days, you need more time, it is your responsibility and your job as a partner in a relationship to come back and say, look, I need a little bit more time. Nothing to do with you, I just need time to process, and that's it. When you honour this, when you honour the time scale, not only are you creating trust in the relationship, you're creating trust within yourself, that you can show up for another person. Like, you always tell yourself that you can't do it, you're not good at relationships, blah, 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 blah. You're actually honouring what you're saying that you're going to do and creating trust within yourself too. Look, it's not your fault that your anxious partner spirals with their emotions, but it's also not their fault that you pull away. But in a partner dynamic, you want to be working together to help each other and to try and understand each other. So by you expressing what you need, i.e. space and time, staying congruent, doing what you say you're going to do, so you're going to come back after a certain amount of time. This allows them not to sit in a dysregulated state, finding it really, really difficult to self-soothe because their brain is just telling themselves all of these stories. It helps their nervous system going in, it just prevents it going into fucking hell, basically. You're regulating yourself, they're able to regulate themselves, and, Bob's your uncle. The last thing I want to add is, as an avoidant, it's really, really difficult to be vulnerable. I get that. I feel you. But it's something that you should work on in a relationship. Being open. When you notice that you're feeling triggered, take a step back and think, right, XYZ's happened. We might have took a step forward in the relationship. We might have moved in together. We might have said those 3 words. We might have said, we're planning on having a child, anything. Something that's taking a step forward towards commitment can trigger you. Saying something that's really vulnerable, them expressing it to you, you maybe don't feel on the same page, or you're unsure, and you need time to process that. It's all okay. But in that moment when you feel really uncomfortable, expressing that to your partner, being vulnerable and saying, look, I feel like I want to rip my skin off. I feel really uncomfortable. I feel like I need some space, and I think it's to do with me. Being vulnerable like that is really going to start teaching your brain that connections are not unsafe, especially if that person is going to respond in a good way. And any loving partner should. Obviously, if you're in a relationship with somebody who isn't also going to hold themselves accountable too, then that's probably not a dynamic that you want to stay in. But if both individuals are working towards a secure attachment and working towards helping each other, relationships can be a beautiful thing. We can use relationships as a mirror to look into our deep, dark spots of ourselves that we don't really feel comfortable looking at. But bit by bit we can, so that we can see our weak spots, we can see where we need to work on, we can see what needs healing. So this is how you get out of the anxious avoidant trap as an avoidant.